First tonight, what does it take to make a business successful and help it to last? You might ask John Libby. More than half a century ago, he started a business restoring and building barns. It grew to become a highly respected builder of beautiful houses using what's called timber frame construction.
John Libby has just retired, but the company he started is going strong. 207's Don Kerrigan went to Freeport to hear their story.
If you love the sights of Maine, you almost have to love old barns. John Libby learned to love them as a young, self-employed carpenter.
I went into it because somebody asked me to restore their old barn. So I said, sure, I'll do anything.
And that's how he discovered timber framing. The art and skill of fitting big wooden posts and beams together with mortise and tenon joints. Basically, the way buildings had been built for hundreds of years. He restored a couple of barns, then built a brand new one.
And when you got out and when you started building your own new buildings, timber frame, was that pretty satisfying?
Oh, immediately, instantaneously. It was like, oh, let's do that again. That was kind of fun.
John Libby was one of the first of a new generation in Maine to revive the craft of timber framing. And it began a business that's kept him working for 53 years. First, barns by John Libby. But then, as more people saw the beauty of the finished product, they wanted their homes built that way.
Those who love them, and those who can't be sold to love them won't love them. But we have a large following of people who want timber frame buildings. And obviously they want them because they enjoy them and appreciate the beauty of them.
Hundreds of buildings, he says, basic barns, fancy barns, and elegant houses, all with the open feel and warm beauty of handcrafted wood. Those frames are all cut and test-fitted inside this huge shop, then taken apart and reassembled on site.
Each bed's built on the ground, we pre-assemble, we drill it out, and then we take it apart, and then we sand it and we oil it after that. So this frame, like I said, probably about 2.5 to 3 months start to finish, and then raising's about a week.
They are a small company, 12 people, including designers and project managers at the shop. And with John's recent retirement, the new company president, Lee Proscia, a former boat builder and cabinet maker, and then construction manager who came to work for John 7 years ago.
How many iconic brands are there in Maine, real makers? You know, if you think about it, Houses and Barns by John Libby. When I first got here, I was blown away by how many people would come into the office and say, well, I've dreamt of having a John Libby barn for years.
The former cabinet maker says he also loved the precision and beauty of the finished product.
I always thought maybe this is the kind of business that would benefit from automation until I got here and I saw the real power of hand to wood, right? And that is the same thing I experienced when I was a cabinet maker.
It's just bigger pieces of wood, he says. As president, Lee doesn't work with the tools here, but he does like to get out to the job sites and show his now former boss what they're doing.
We're going to lift that portal frame up.
Yeah.
They're going to thread it into the bent, bolt it down, connect it, and then raise it all.
They say business is looking good, more houses waiting to be built, and yes, more barns too. Surprisingly, perhaps, what the company still likes best.
Those are our favorite kind of clients. You know, when I first came on board, John would, we would get a barn lead and we would both get excited for it. And our guys love building barns. They love building homes, but there's just something about a barn.
You guys still like the chance to build a basic barn?
We do, we love it.
Why?
Because they're so pure and it's a project that flows well, and you're not dealing with all the subcontractors for all the things that go into a house.
John Libby says when it comes to barns, a good foundation and a good roof make all the difference. And after a half century, they say the product and the business are built to last.
John Libby grew up in Aroostook County and says he learned carpentry working on the farm, but he did not learn about timber framing there. He says the barns in the county aren't old enough to have been built that way. On the mid-coast in southern Maine, he says it's a different story because people settled there much earlier.
Beautiful, though. Look at them inside. Love it.